Hello everyone, it's Matt from Akuma Mods, back again with our review of the BIQU B1 SE Plus. Wow, that's a lot to say. So yeah, BIQU sent us this unit to review and show off for the viewers here and give us our thoughts about it. And yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So first off, I just want to go over some specs of the printer and pricing and whatnot. So this is a CR10 style printer. Now, when I say that, that usually means about 300 millimeters for the build volume. In this case, it's a little bit bigger. It's 310 by 310 by 340. So it is a little bit bigger than a CR10, or at least the older CR10 models. Now, I will say that there are some good things and some bad things about this printer. I'm sorry. You know, we've had a few issues here and there, but nothing, you know, that wouldn't come across normally with what the options on this printer have. So let's get into some of the options that are on this printer. So this printer does come with a filament runout sensor. It also comes with an aluminum extruder, and it also comes with a touchscreen and a 32-bit board. Now, with that, one of the options that I absolutely love about this printer, because as you guys know from the channel, I do a lot of resin printing. So I have a lot of USB drives laying around here, and not too many SD cards or micro SD cards anymore. Usually I just have those for my cameras, and that's about it. But for the most part, I don't have them for my printers because, as you guys know from resin printing, they utilize USB drives. Now, that's one of the nice things about this unit is on the side here, you have two options. You have the option for a TF card, otherwise known as a micro USB card, and you have the option for a USB drive, which is really, really awesome. I can utilize my USB drives that I have tons of and not have to worry about losing a little tiny micro SD card. I absolutely can't stand that. Happens all the time, or even worse, I lose it inside the printer. Thankfully, that doesn't have this issue, but there are some printers out there, reality, that have issues like that where they fall in. So, you know, it's kind of nice to have that option on there. This does come with a what they call carbonium glass. I'll be honest, they're okay. I always seem to have issues with these glass beds. They are kind of 50-50 when it comes to bed adhesion. So I always make sure that I have some trusty hairspray, you know, laying around, because I don't like to use glue, because that'll have some pitches and some waves when you're going to lay the glue down. Whereas hairspray, you could just keep applying and applying and applying, and you know, there's very little change in the bed itself. Now, talking about the bed and waviness, this does come with an auto bed leveling system. Now, that's where we kind of come into a strange issue. I don't know if it's exactly a problem. I mean, in some eyes it is. If you guys are familiar with auto bed leveling systems and how a printer should work, there is a kind of a quirk with this printer. So, as it does have an ABL system, one of the things that I noticed is if you touch any of the Bowden tube or this wire loom that goes to the hot ends, it triggers the ABL. So if you guys are like, have your print head up here, you just finished a print, and you go to home your print or restart the auto bed leveling, whatever it may be, start another print, don't touch that or have anything near it that can touch it, because it will trigger your ABL. I don't know why that is. To me, that's a grounding issue or something far worse than that. But BIQU assured me that it's okay, and I should just not touch the hot end parts when it's triggering the ABL. Again, that's kind of strange to me, but I'll just take their word for it, okay? So I'm just letting you know that's one oddball thing about this. It's not a deal breaker in my opinion. Again, just don't touch your hot end, but if you're in tight spaces, just make sure that nothing is touching that wire loom or this Bowden tube, because it will have some issues with it. So talking about the Bowden tube, as you guys can see, we have the blue PTFE tube, otherwise known as Capricorn. Pretty sure this is a knockoff, but it works just as good. And we do have better coupling fitters on here that actually have metal teeth in them. That is very, very important to make sure that that Bowden tube doesn't come out of that coupler at any point in time. Again, Creality. So that's a good thing that they have that upgraded. So there are some things on here that they've done some slight upgrades on that are essential parts to consistent printing right out of the box. So again, that filament runout sensor is another thing where I personally think that every single printer nowadays should be coming with a filament runout sensor. There's no reason why it shouldn't. It's like a 10-cent part to add on, and when you're assembling the machine, it just makes it all that much better for the end user, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen people where they have an empty spool of filament and it's just printing in air. Well, if you had a filament runout sensor on your system, that wouldn't be an issue. Seems to be more and more common nowadays, but it just needs to become the community standard, in my opinion. The same kind of goes for an aluminum extruder. Even if it's $5 more, I personally would rather, spend the extra $5 on the machine itself and basically throw it in there. Even if it was like a dual geared extruder and was like $60 extra, I think I might actually throw in the extra 60 and just say, all right, it's going to have an extruder that has no issues for a long time. So again, that might just be me though. So some other things about this, you guys do notice that there is a rotary knob, or encoder as some might call it. Unfortunately, this doesn't work the way that I thought it would. I thought that maybe, okay, the touchscreen works, and then you could also use the encoder to utilize the screen itself. But that's not the case. You can only utilize it in certain menus, especially when it's printing. You do have the option to switch between like your heat bed, your hot end, your ABL, and your speed, and I believe the fan as well. And basically, that's the only time that you can use this encoder, at least on this unit. I don't know if they're going to do a firmware or software update to utilize the encoder throughout the entire menu, but I've noticed that you just can't use it in the regular main menu. Not the end of the world, but it'd be nice to have just in case that touchscreen decides to, deep six itself for the day, because that does happen a lot on these FDM printers because they're built with just cheaper parts. So, just be nice to have as a backup. Just saying. One other nice feature that this printer has is a belt tensioner. This does have a knob. Unfortunately, we don't have one on the Gantry side. I'd like to have it on there, but it's not, again, a deal breaker for me. I'll be fine with it. It's perfectly normal. It just, why put one here and not have one there? I have no idea. Because you're probably going to have more issues with the Gantry side than you are the bedside, at least in my printing, past, basically. So one major issue, and if you guys have watched the unboxing on the live stream, you guys have probably seen it. We had an issue where, the gantry, the right side gantry sags, and that's because this system is set up with a single Z-rod, not a dual like most of these printers that are larger. So it does suffer from sagging gantry, and unfortunately, we did have issues with that. I did end up loosening all the eccentric nuts on the gantry bar here. There's this one and this one specifically that are behind here. And we just kind of leveled it a little bit, and it seems to be working okay. Now, that doesn't mean that when I move this printer again that they'll probably come out of whack, because I guarantee it probably will. It's just an issue with the printer. Now, again, that's not necessarily a huge deal breaker. It is a problem for a lot of people. You got to know what you're doing in order to fix it, because it can drive you mad, because you can see that your print bed is working, your ABL is working, and you're like, why is it not correcting for it? Well, the ABL only corrects for so much. So if you have a sagging gantry issue and you have a pretty beefy hot end on here, it's going to sag. So, and it's going to sag to the point where it might be just out of that ABL range. So that's something just to take into account. Now, with that being said, I was told from BIQU that they do plan on releasing a dual Z kit or Z upgrade to add on a dual Z onto this. So that'll be nice, at least in the future. I know they have one for the BIQU B1, the smaller model, which I think last I checked was like somewhere around $40. So if it's like $50 extra, okay, yeah, you're getting into the $400 range in total of a printer, but it'll be an actual pretty solid printer. The only major, weird quirk I'd say is that ABL thing where you just can't touch the hot end. So again, it's just it boggles my mind. But if they say it's okay, I'll trust them with that. They've been dealing with printers and boards for a long time, so I'm just going to take their word for it for now. I haven't seen anybody have major issues with that. It's just something that I came across out of just messing with some things with the sagging gantry issue. But that's really all we've had. I haven't done too many prints on this, so that's why I wanted to do another print while I'm shooting this video, so you guys can at least see that it does print. It prints okay. We don't have any issues. If we had a sagging gantry issue, you would hear this start clicking, or the extruder clicking, or the supports failing as I just touch it and fail. But either way, it'll be perfectly fine. So I'm not too worried about it. And it's going to print this for the next 3 days. So it's quite a long print. It's a helmet. So just don't do what I did and knock off the supports. It's not going to be the end of the world. The print's going to be fine. That support structure will just wind up there and call it a day. So either way, it's perfectly fine. So I will say that one of the cool things about this printer is that they have an interface for a Raspberry Pi, so you can just directly hook into it. I'm not exactly sure how that works internally, but that's what they say on the website. So we'll have to see how that goes if we do happen to add that on. But that's really like that, and the dual Z kit are really two great upgrades that anybody could throw onto this printer and make it an amazing printer. And it's a fairly good printer right out of the box. Like I said, I just had a couple things that were, slight problems, but as you can see, we got it fixed and working again. So it's working perfectly fine. And, like I said, it's a 310 by 310 by 340, and that's going to get you at a price range of $350, at least on the BIQU website. I'm sure it'll be a little bit more on the Amazon website. I did have a link for that, but for some reason they removed the listing. I don't know if they're gonna, restock anytime soon, but I will leave the links down in the description for the printer if you guys decide to buy it either from BIQU or the Amazon if it's there. And that's really all I got. If you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave them down below. If you guys like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That would help out the channel, as well as hit that subscribe button. That would also help out my channel greatly. It's not something I absolutely need from you guys, but hey, every little thing helps, and that way we can get some more reviews, and you guys can see my honest review about these, because I don't care how I get them. I'm going to give you an unbiased review, in my opinion. Like I said, there's some issues with this out of the box, but for $350, it's a pretty good machine. You just got to be aware of the weird ABL thing, and number two, the sagging gantry. That is the two major, I guess, kind of downfalls of it, but I wouldn't even really consider them a huge downfall. The sagging gantry, it's kind of so-so, but I can kind of walk somebody through on how to, fix that, or at least crutch it a little bit until the dual Z kit is out there. But I understand that's not something you really should need to do right out of the box. So who knows? This might just be a one-off type thing. It happens all the time. And yeah, we'll just leave it at, maybe it's just a one possibility. Who knows? So, but yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I thank you all for watching, and until next time. Happy printing.